Welcome to episode 3, season 2 of Coach Washington Sports Talk. I'm your host, Coach DeArmond Washington, and welcome to Coach Washington Sports Talk. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Again, hit that like, subscribe, and share button. And we're going to get at it today. We're going to talk about the Ohio State Notre Dame game, the high school realignments with the 7A, 8A, a little bit of middle school. You know, we talk about that youth sports on here. So let's talk about it. Congratulations to Ohio State. They just won a national championship. Congratulations to them. Notre Dame lost again. I don't know why Notre Dame can't win it. I just think they just can't. They can get that talent, they can get there, but sometimes I just think because of the Notre Dame, the high academic, that they can't get that one or two players that they need to take them over the edge. Ohio State is a program that is a top-tier program. A lot of people are talking about they should have fired the coach early in the year. He should be fired after the season because he's lost to Michigan. He's lost 4 straight years to Michigan. But I asked, do you want a national championship or do you want the Michigan win? It seems like the alumni are kind of divided. Some want that Michigan win and some want that national championship. I mean, it'd be good if you can have both. But at the end of the day, I think they're playing for a national championship, which he did win at the end of the season. So congrats to them. I mean, you want Michigan, which is that rivalry game, or you want that national championship. He was able to give them that national championship. Then you had alumni on the boards talking about this class has never beat Michigan. True. But they also gave you a national championship. So sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too. They did a wonderful job of coming back. They lost to Oregon and Michigan in the season. Then they did a wonderful job of beating Michigan and Texas. And then taking out Notre Dame to get to that win that national championship. So that's a top tier program. Like I said, I would love to see Penn State get there. But again, I just think an interception at the end of the game, which led to a Notre Dame drive and a field goal, took them out of it. But Penn State had a phenomenal year. They are a top tier program. Notre Dame a top tier program. So there you have it. Texas, they have a situation. I think they're going to let their quarterback leave, ask him to leave and hit the portal, go pro. So the era of the Manning can start. But that's a conversation for another day. But again, congratulations to Ohio State for winning that national championship. No SEC teams participated in the national championship. That's 2 teams out of the Pac-10, Pac-12, I think, that have won national championships back to back. So SEC doesn't look to be the premier. Doesn't look like it's the premier conference anymore. Michigan has won one. Ohio State has won one. Hopefully Oregon can get back together and they can take one. But it is what it is. Now, North Carolina has went to an AA system. Years ago, we had like 4A, 4AA, 3AA, 3A, 2AA, 2A, 1AA, and 1A. We did have that years ago. Then after COVID, they just went to the straight 4A, 4-through-1 system. Just 4 championships. But years ago, we did have 2 championships in every 4-through-1 level. So they just went to a total of 8 championship system, which you have some 8A schools, 8-through-1. Now they're going to realign all the schools in the state and realign the conferences. It's been some heated debate in Charlotte about these conferences. So we're going to talk about Conference C, which is a AA. All these conferences I'm talking about, Conference C, D, and Conference E, are all 7A and AA teams in Charlotte because we have a lot of football teams. So Conference C consists of Chambers, which is 8A, Miller Creek, which is 8A, West Charlotte, which is defending champs, and 3A. Now they are 8A. Butler is 7A. Independence is 7A. And North Meck is 7A. This looks to be a pretty good conference because you have Butler, Independence, Mile Creek, West Charlotte, and then Chambers on the rebuild. North Meck is trying to get their program footing going after they had a big exodus this past season. A lot of kids left North Meck and went on to other schools, so they lost a lot of talent at North Meck. It was on the rise, but North Meck has a problem of keeping their players. They can keep them there 9th and 10th grade, but after that they seem to leave, and they had a big exodus. So the conference has solid Independence, Butler, West Charlotte, Mallard Creek, solid 4. Chambers is on the rebuild, but still, it's Chambers, so they have talent coming in. Conference D consists of Garinger, which is 8A, Huff 8A, Myers Park 8A, South Meck 8A, Hopewell 7, and West Meck 7. This conference is a little light. They have no heavy hitters in this conference. But Huff is that number one top tier team in that conference. Garinger is Garinger. They're not winning games or anything like that. Garinger has a problem. Every year they're having coaches leave. They're not even staying 2 years. They're leaving. I think the Hickory Ridge coach just took that job at Garinger. So we'll see what he can do. Myers Park, I'm an MP man, but Myers Park made the playoffs, I think, 2 years ago. This year, I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on in that program. I want somebody to talk to me about that. That's another conversation we're gonna get into today about what's going on in Myers Park. South Meck, I don't know too much about South Meck, but they're not really a top tier right now. Hopewell is definitely not a top tier program. They haven't been the same since they let Berg and Grice them go. They haven't been doing anything. West Meck is up and coming, and they're 7A. Now we're getting Conference E, which is a 7-8A conference. You have Audrey Kell, decent team. East Meck is better off. It's a step above Garinger. It's a big population school. Them and Garinger both, but they just can't seem to get the kids in the hallway to play football. Palisades up and coming. I think they've been playing football maybe 3-4 years. They did make the playoffs this year, so that's an up and coming program, and they're all 8A. Providence used to be a top tier program. I haven't heard too much about Providence. Maybe they're on the rise. They're 8A. You got the new school we have in Charlotte, Valentine Ridge, which is a 7A, so they're up and coming. You really can't put too much into Valentine Ridge. I think this is their first year playing football was this year. So this upcoming season 25 will be their second year, so they're 7A. Then Rocky River is right there with Garinger. It's a big school, a nice facilities, but for some reason they can't get the kids in a hallway to play football. And I don't know what they can do about that program. I don't know what they can do about Rocky River, East Meck, or Garinger. Something has to be done. Kids are not playing football. Hopewell as well. Garinger, Hopewell, East Meck, and Rocky River. I don't know what you can do about those programs. They're failing programs. They can't get enough kids to play. They can't get the talent in the building to play. But they do good in other sports. But when it comes to football, they just cannot get the kids to play. I'm hearing coaches, especially those in that Huff area, saying they don't like the Huff coaches and parents saying they do not like the conference they're in. They're in Conference D, which is Garinger, Huff, Myers Park, South Meck, Hopewell, and West Meck. I don't think the coaching staff and the parents like that particular conference. There's no heat in that conference. It's really, you're not playing anybody top tier to get you ready for the playoffs. Conference C is the best conference I see. We have 3 conferences. None of these conferences are going to be equally yoked. One is going to be better out of the 2. So I think the best conference is the Chambers, Mallard Creek, West Charlotte, Butler, Big I, and North Meck. I would love to see them take either Mallard Creek or Butler Independence and move them to Conference D. Conference D only has 2 7A teams. Conference C has 3. So I would love maybe for Garinger to maybe get out of that conference, or keep Garinger there and maybe move out South Mech and replace South Mech with a Mallet Creek. So maybe put Mallet Creek in the same conference. Take Mallet Creek out that conference C and put Mallet Creek in conference D with Huff. That way you can take South Mech and move them over to that conference, which would be still a solid conference. Conference E, that's just anybody can win that conference. I think that conference is going to go probably the Palisades or Ardrey. There's really not a lot of smoke in that conference. So at the end of the day, one conference is going to be better than the other two. One is going to be loaded with more talent than the other. But I'm glad they moved West Mech out of that conference C and put them in conference D. I think West Mech can beat Hopewell. I think West Mech can beat South Mech. I know they could beat Garinger. I think they could beat Myers Park too, because I don't know what's going on in Myers Park. So West Mech has a chance to get some wins in that conference. North Mech will probably be the lowest seed in Conference C. I don't think they'll win a game in that conference. I don't see them beat Independence, Butler, West Charlotte, Mallet Creek, or Chambers. I don't see North Mech winning anything in that conference. Like I said, I don't see them winning anything in that conference. West Mech going to Conference D. I think West Mech, like I said, can beat Hopewell, South Mech, Myers Park, and Garinger. I see West Mech winning those games. That's good for them. I think they'll be able to sustain wins in there. North Mech, I don't see them winning any games in the conference. West Mech, I see them doing pretty well in this conference. Probably losing to Huff. Maybe Myers Park could be a tough opponent for them, or equal yoked opponent. But I see West Mech doing pretty well in that conference. Conference E, which is Ardrey, East Mech, Palisades, Providence, Ballantynes, Rocky River. It's looking like, for me, honestly, it's going to be Palisades, maybe Ardrey. I don't see Rocky River winning anything but Ballantyne Ridge. I think Rocky River is going to just won't win a game in that Conference E. I don't see only game, Ballantyne Ridge. I maybe don't see them winning any games, them or Rocky River. So it'll be a toss between Ballantyne Ridge and Rocky River getting a win in that conference, because I don't see any of them schools beating Providence, Palisades, East Mech, or Ardrey. I think East Mech will be able to beat Ballantynes and beat Rocky River, or Rocky River might be able to take East Mech. But at the bottom, I do see it looking like maybe East Mech, Rocky River, and Ballantyne Ridge at the bottom of that conference. It's a winnable conference if you're Ardrey, Palisades, or Providence. One of those three will win that conference. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. I don't think they can make these conferences any better by moving teams around. Huff, I think they feel like they got the short end of the stick as far as competition. They don't really have any competition unless you just take Huff and move them into out of Conference D and move them into Conference C. I think that's the most competition in that conference. But they're trying to make these conferences equal, so I think maybe one or two teams out of each conference will go to the playoffs. So I can understand how they put these conferences together. You want Huff to make it. Maybe Myers Park can get there. In Conference D, Conference C, you got in 8A, you only got 3 8A teams, which is Chambers, Mallet Creek, West Charlotte. So I see Mallet Creek and West Charlotte getting in the playoffs in that conference. In 8A, I see Huff, maybe Myers Park getting in the 8A playoffs out of that conference. In Conference E, I probably see Palisades, Ardrey, or Providence making it to the playoffs in the AA division. In 7A, in that I think it's gonna be Butler and Independence if they're taking 2. Conference D, you have South Mech, Hopewell, and West Mech. I see West Mech and South Mech making it out of that conference if they're taking 2 teams in 7A, and also in Conference E. 7A is Valentine Reeds and Rocky River. So I guess they're setting it up so maybe two of those teams can get out of there, which would be Valentine Reeds and Rocky River. All these schools, these 8A and 7A is based off school size, students, how many students you have at one particular school is going to determine your conference. Myers Park is the biggest school in the state far as students, but I don't know what's going on with Myers Park. And I want somebody to talk to me, man. I want to reach out to somebody to talk to me. I'm an MP guy. But what's the difference between Weddington? Somebody can answer this. What's the difference between Weddington and Myers Park? These are two predominantly upper class white high schools, high tier. When it comes to economics, you know, the parents make a lot of money, make good money. Weddington and Myers Park. So when you talk about finances of the family, they're kind of top tier, predominantly white schools. Weddington is a powerhouse. If you don't know about this area, Weddington is a powerhouse. Myers Park is not. So what's the difference between the student athletes? Because, like I said, it's predominantly white. Income is about the same. What's the difference between those kids at Weddington and Myers Park? This is a serious question I want to ask because Myers Park really can't get it together to get wins, but Weddington seems to be consistent. Maybe it's the feeders, how they're doing it. Maybe they're, you know, the kids, those Weddington teams, those kids play for Weddington coming up. And then they play for the middle schools down there, Weddington Middle, I think, and then they go to Weddington High. Myers Park, their kids are coming from playing at South Mac, Mara. They're attending Saysfield AG, and then they're going to Myers Park and playing football. But I just want to know, how can Weddington be a successful program and Myers Park be a mid-major, low mid-major program? What's the difference between the kids? When I'm talking about this, I want to know, like, they're predominantly white. So what's the difference with the student athletes? Why they seem to be much better in football at Weddington than at Myers Park? Like I say, most predominantly white, same economics, high end on that end, high tier economics. But one school seems to be tapped in and more serious than the other. And I'm an MP guy. I just want to know because I'm sending kids. My kids are playing there from Saysfield. We are a true feeder to Myers Park. My boys are getting on the field. But why is Weddington seem to be much better? Maybe somebody can comment and let me know the difference between the programs. Is it a cultural thing? Is one pushing a different culture than the other? So we'll see what's going on with that. You know, maybe I think it's cultural. We feed into Myers Park, but I haven't seen talk to a Myers Park coach in 3 years. I don't think they come to any of our games or look at our kids to recruit, come and see what's the upcoming talent. I know they're busy, but I know high schools are coming down and looking at these kids in middle school. They're watching them. I know Butler, I watched their coach Ferg. He was in the playoffs, checking out some kids that feed into his program. You know, he was seriously out there taking notes, looking at the kids feeding into his program. And I haven't talked to a Myers Park coach. I know they're busy trying to get their stuff together, but as a feeder, we have no communications with them. Hell, we can't even get a game. We can't even get a game because sometimes middle school we play on high school fields. I know we've played at North Mech. We played at Olympic. We've played at Harding. We played at West Charlotte. My wife's coming in. We've played at West Charlotte, Olympic, Harding, and North Mech. But when it comes to our feeder school that we feed into, Myers Park, we've never been able to get a game at Myers Park. And our AD has reached out numerous times to maybe get that set up. I don't know what's going on, but I don't talk to Myers Park. And I'm the head coach at my middle school. Maybe they go talk to AG, but they're definitely not coming to the SEDGE and communicating with us about our upcoming talent. And I know we have kids playing at Myers Park, I've talked to the West Charlotte coach, and we have kids playing for West Charlotte. I've talked to Hardin and the West Mecklenburg coach. Even what's the oh man, I can't think of the school because I know I'm leaving the school out. I can't think of the school. It's right down the street from Hardin. Anyway, I'm talking to numerous high school coaches trying to get, ask what do my kids feed into, where do they go? Philip O'Berry, they're not even on this list. So I might got this list mixed up because Philip O'Berry is not on the list, and I know they're probably 7A. So my bad, Philip O'Berry, you're not on the list. I don't know what happened with the list I'm looking at, but Philip O'Berry, you're not on the list. But Philip O'Berry has even reached out to me about hosting games for Sayersfield because I think a lot of my kids, because of the rezoning, they stay in Wilmore, West Boulevard. But Philip O'Berry is an open school. You get into a program, your kids go to Philip O'Berry. I apologize, Philip O'Berry. I don't have you guys on the list in either conference, C, D, or E, but Philip O'Berry, upcoming program. But these are schools I talk to. I don't talk to my feeder program, Myers Park. I haven't heard from these guys in years. Not knocking them, they're busy, but it's good to talk to your feeder. I know West Charlotte talks to his feeder. That, because it's an IB school. I know they're getting kids coming in from Ransom. That's a feeder for them. They're getting a lot of Piedmont Middle School kids coming into them, and they're at the games. Mallard Creek, they got a good feeder with JM, Ridge Road, and this IB school, so they're getting Piedmont kids as well. I'm not that far from Hardin or Philip O'Berry. I talked to their coaches about, do I got any kids in the area that would most likely like to come play for Hardin or Philip O'Berry? I talked to these coaches, coach, what kids, what do your kids feed into? But my own feeder, direct feeder, I haven't heard anything from them, so maybe that's a problem. Maybe we're not on the same page with the feeder programs. But I think the kids at Weddington are running a system all the way up like Catholic does with Trinity. They're running systems and getting their kids in. But I just wanted to know, again, what's the difference? Why Weddington can get on top and win, why Myers Park can't? I think it's a cultural, maybe the kids feel at Myers Park, they don't need football. Some of them don't. They really don't need it. So maybe it's a cultural thing. They don't need football. They know they're going to school. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about what's going on with these conference alignments, and I need to go back through my notes because I didn't see Philip O'Berry. I don't know what conference they're in, so excuse me again. I didn't put Philip O'Berry in there. So they have to be in one of these conferences. But Philip O'Berry is low levels, probably a 7A. They might be able to get a couple wins. They're probably going to be in conference D or E. So I don't see them really running shop in any of these conferences, D or E. But I think they're good enough to beat, if they was in conference E, they're good enough to beat Rocky River, Valentine's, East Mac. They might struggle with the Palisades. And they think they're in the conference. They usually been in the conference Palisades. So they'll probably play well against them, but I don't know if they could beat Audrey Cale. They may be able to beat Providence. But if they was in Conference D, that will put them against West Meck, no. Hopewell, yes. South Meck, maybe a yes. Myers Park, maybe no. Garinger, definitely a yes. So Philip O'Berry be maybe a mid-major in Conference D and E. If they were in Conference C, I don't see them winning a game in that conference. So they're probably not in that conference. They're probably in Conference D or E, if I'm looking at it. So that puts them in the middle, Philip O'Berry. So that's my take on the high school realignment and the conferences. And, I like talk about middle school. I got the owner of Washington Lee Athletics. We do recruiting and scouting. We put on camps. And also I do the WA media, which you try to cover middle school games. We cover everything if we can. Any games, high school. middle school. We try to cover anything we can cover to give kids exposure and put them out there. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm a part of the On the Lines crew. We meet every Thursday and we discuss middle school athletics because it's real big to us. Trying to promote those kids in middle school. CMS did a great job. Shot by 32 did a great job of posting the weekly scores and the records in the conference. That helped us well on our podcast. So give a shout out to Shot by 32 this past season on helping with the scores and the records in middle school football. But as far as basketball, we have not been able to cover that like we really want because we can't get a hold of the scores weekly. Middle school play on Mondays and Thursdays, so it'd be nice if we had the scores coming in on Monday night, Tuesday, and then getting the scores directly after the game on Thursday. So when we do the podcast, we can go over Monday scores and go over Thursday scores, and then look at the overall records of all the teams, so we can actually talk about middle school basketball and CMS. I mean, we can't talk about it. We have a lot of teams. We have 32 teams or 30 teams that play middle school in the 4 conferences. And then we have another conference, the K through 8 schools. They have their own conference in basketball. But we do not have any nobody's keeping up with the scores or the records of these teams. So it's kind of hard for WA and On the Lines to talk about middle school basketball. I think there's some good teams out there. Now I can cover my conference, which is the Central Conference, because we played everyone, and I know the top 4 teams' records, so I know I can cover my own conference. And I think Booker and everybody else, they can cover their conference, which is the Northern Conference at JM, because they're playing those schools and they can cover those schools. But as far as the Southern and the Eastern Conference, we don't have a clue what's going on in those conferences in basketball. So if you're a parent or a player, you listen to this podcast, hey man, start reaching out to us on Mondays after the games. DM me at WA_camps. Again, that's WA_camps. Send me your records. What was your score of your game that you had Monday? And then up under that, just put our record now is such and such. And then come Thursday after your game, hey, just send me a quick note. Hey, give me the score of your game and your current record that we can get on the podcast Thursday and we can discuss the games and who's doing what in middle school basketball. And we can try to predict, put together the Sweet 16s that they're doing for the playoffs. VTO is doing the middle school playoffs. And a lot of teams are going to be playing in the Muggsy Bowls tournament. And the Muggsy Bowls tournament of the last 2 years, couple years, that's kind of determined who was the best middle school team in Charlotte. That was like a championship. We won that tournament last year at Sedgefield. We won that. But now CMS will say, hey, we want to do our own championship. So we're doing that for the first time this year. And I think teams are still going to play in the Muggsy Bowls tournament, which is a good thing for these kids, man, to showcase their talent. We got a lot of talented kids in Charlotte. So it's good when we can showcase and talk about these kids and these teams and, leading up to the Sweet 16 and then leading up to the championship game. But, hey, a lot of y'all kids play AAU. You on these great-ass teams I'm watching middle school in the 2 games I've seen. But it's different when you have to carry your team yourself. I think it's a difference because I hear people like, oh, he's AAU, blah, blah, blah. But those AAU games don't look like those middle school games because you're not playing on your all-star teams. I talk about this football. You're not playing with your all-stars. You might be the man and you are going to have to carry your team. I talk about this all the time. Like sometimes you might can see a kid, he's an AAU guy. He looks a little different, but for the most part, I can't see it because it's you by yourself, and everybody in your team might not be an AAU player or on that highest tier level playing ball. So it's now you are having to carry a team and do it all. I haven't seen like a real dominant team. Piedmont is undefeated in our conference, but it's not like they haven't dominated. I mean, they're beatable. It doesn't look different. I think Sedgefield, our team last year, looked different from everyone else. We were blowing teams out, and our kids played all AAU, and it looked like that on the court. It did. From all the starters, from the point guard to the center, we looked a little different. We did. We looked a little different than everyone else. And again, I haven't seen all the middle school teams, so maybe it's a couple teams I haven't seen that look like that. But I know JM is running through their conference, and Piedmont is in their conference, and we're right there in second. So I haven't really seen or heard anybody saying, "Hey, this team looks a little different. They look like a AAU team with the talent level." I'm talking about talent, skill level, and talent. Cause basketball is skill level and talent, but I haven't heard anyone talking about a particular team in middle school basketball that looks different, that plays different. So I like to say that sometimes people talk about all this AAU, and then when you see the kids playing by themselves or they have to carry a team, it's a little different. I'm not hating on anyone, but I think it's a little different when you have to play what you have and you have to put that together. You have to be the leader since you have all the talent and you playing on all these teams and you have to lead your team. So I just wanted to talk about the middle school basketball, and we need scores and records from anybody watching this podcast. And I know 7-on-7 is about to start. A lot of people are getting into 7-on-7, which is cool, but don't let 7-on-7 be the be all, the end all. When I mean that is you hear a lot of kids saying, "Oh, I'm the man in 7-on-7." How you look at them pads though? Because last time I checked, there's no 7-on-7 scholarship. There's no 7-on-7 team in college. They have girls' flags, but as far as the men division, it's tackle. How do you look in tackle? I think a lot of kids out there are confusing 7-on-7 skill set with the tackling. I seen some, as my son called them and Mo called them, they call it 7-on-7 demons. These the kids, you go watch them 7-on-7, man, they tearing it up. They are tearing it up in 7-on-7. But when it comes time to put the pads on, it's not the same kid. It's not the same kid in pads. And I've seen it with myself, some kids on my team, 7-on-7 demons. But when you put them pads on, they're not the same type kid. That energy is not there. Tackle is different from 7-on-7. So I know 7-on-7 is a developed skill set with quarterback and receivers, timing and route running. Get your DBs and your secondary some good work, and linebackers having them do a lot of covering and opening up hips. Not so much getting downhill, but just opening up hips. But don't get too caught up in the 7-on-7 thing, because sometimes it's not translating into tackle football. Parents, you got to be aware of that. Because your boy is out there giving them the business in 7-on-7, that don't mean he going to give them the business in tackle. So I think these kids need to work on and train and get ready for the season. More so being physical, which I think they should practice with their hands, getting off blocks. I think that should be a big training while you're doing 7-on-7. Cut out all of the ghost receivers, ghost DBs. I think you should put somebody in front of kids so kids can actually touch something, use their hands to get off the blocks, use their hands to get off blocks, use their hands to keep from getting jammed, learning how to play physical contact. Moving the hands and slap the hands when you're training, extending, reading, getting off. I think everyone should use that in training, not just the receivers, the skills, but also the linemen and the D linemen. Linebackers, when you're training, I think everybody should be training actually touching something where you can use your hands. I think that's important. A lot of kids just training on footwork, and all that footwork is very important. Just training with footwork, but the ghost man has to change. Take that free air and replace that free air with a person or a pad so he can actually touch something and develop using his hands and understanding distance, space as they call it. It's better if you got a person or a dummy so they can understand spacing and timing with their steps and all that. That's just my opinion, but I think it's going to be a good year for CMS. We have the conferences locked in. I think it's going to be a good year for high school football. We're going to see what people are able to do with these new conferences. I want to see what Charlotte succeed. They're coming in from 3A, winning that championship because it was 4A was the highest tier. They won 3A. Now they're in 8A, and I think a lot of people are doubting West Charlotte as far as saying they can't compete in the 8A, but I don't think that's true. We had Coach Greer on the On the Line podcast, and he has had a solid 3 years. I mean, a solid 3 years of ninth grade class that can play ball. I'm talking about, I think he's had like the best 3 years of bringing in ninth graders for the last 3 years. I'm talking about ninth graders playing varsity. So he's had a solid 3 years of bringing in the ninth grade class. His past class was great with his JV, and then he's getting ready to bring in another solid class. So he's going to have 4 years in a row of bringing in a solid ninth grade class of guys who actually can play football, who've been playing from the youth all the way up and playing on good winning youth programs. So I think they will be able to compete in the AA division and make some noise. Everybody talks about Grimsley, they're open schools, so that means if you're in Greensboro, I think you can just go to school there. That's different when you're open school. That's almost like private level. You could bring in who you want to bring in, you know. And Grimsley did win the championship this year, but Weddington beat them last year, so they're beatable. But a lot of people saying it's hard to compete against teams like Grimsley because they're open enrollment, which means anybody in the, I think, Greensboro area can attend the school if they want. That's no excuse. We have bigger high schools here in Charlotte. There's no excuse. So I think Chad Greenham is going to do an awesome job. People are doubting them in the 8A, but I think with those recruiting classes, he's going to be pretty good. I think he has a young quarterback. All his players are young. They can't do nothing but get better, and they're locked in and bought in over there. Miller Creek is going to do a good job. I think that Miller Creek just have to find that quarterback coming in, but they've done a good job the last 2 years of last 3 years, 2 years of bringing in a good ninth grade class, bringing in good talent. Chambers is on a rebuild. Huff does a great job every year of bringing in kids and putting them in their system and getting them going. So it's going to be an interesting year. I want to see how Butler is on the rebound with Ferg and them. I think they did make the playoffs. I think that helped them well making the playoffs and get some of those parents off their back. Now they know they can make the playoffs. It's just getting their kids prepared at Butler, you know, with this new staff. They're 1 year in, so getting them to buy into their system. Independence, I don't know. They're losing their quarterback. He's been there for years, a great kid. But what is Independence going to do now? Because I think it all starts with the quarterback. The quarterback is the key, man, to all this stuff. You got a good quarterback, you could do some damage. Oh, I messed up again. I left Olympic off. I don't know what conference Olympic's in. So Olympic and Philip O'Berry both have to be in conference D or E. So they're in one of them conferences too. So my bad, Olympic. So they're in one of those conferences too. Maybe I didn't write down on the paper correctly. So I'm jumping right now. So Olympic is in either conference D or E along with Philip O'Berry. Olympic is coming up. They did share the conference title with Palisades, and that was a good thing for them. They have a good quarterback over there. He's a gunslinger. So big ups to them. Olympic. So I think Olympic will make the playoffs. So it's Philip O'Berry and Olympic. I don't know what conference. They either in conference D or E, one of the two. So my bad, Olympic. I forgot about you guys. That's how many high schools we have here. That's how many high schools we have in Charlotte. I forgot about two. So Olympic is upcoming. Olympic is up and coming. And they have a quarterback who can throw the ball. So look out for him. Chance. Chance can gunsling. He can throw that ball. Tall, lanky quarterback, good, strong arm. He can throw that ball. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams do, because I think you need a throwing quarterback. Your quarterback has to be able to make the throws, and you have to have a run game. The run game is important in high school, very important, especially when it's talking about postseasons, getting towards when it get cold. So a strong run game is important, but also a quarterback who can make his throws and get that ball down the field. I think Mallard Creek struggled with that this year, as far as with the quarterbacking. Butler did a little bit, but then they got with their guy. And he was able to win some games. Like I say, I don't know who's going to quarterback Independence. Huff keep a quarterback. Miles Parker keep a quarterback. I don't know how well they are, but they seem to keep quarterbacks. So we'll see what goes on. But if you don't have a strong quarterback, I don't think you're going to have a strong season unless you just have a dominant run game. So I think the biggest quarterback of the year, I think Chance is going to be a senior this year at Olympic. I think he'll throw for the most yards in Charlotte. Probably him and the Huff quarterback. I think they will throw for the most yards. No, West Charlotte, a young guy too. So I think it'll be West Charlotte, Huff, and Olympic having the best as far as quarterbacks putting up the most yards this season as far as the quarterback position. It's going to be real key developing quarterbacks. And while we're talking about developing quarterbacks, I'm getting with Marcus Flowers. If you don't know who Flowers is, he is the head coach of John C. Smith, played quarterback, offensive recruiter. Now he's been the head coach at several places. Left Fort Valley to become the head coach of John C. Smith. Offensive-minded guy. He has a young quarterback coach with him, and we're partnering up to help our young quarterbacks in the city, young minority quarterbacks, get the education they need at quarterback. We're calling it the WA Quarterback School. We're going to start this in March and April. It'll be a 6 to 8 week program where you come once a month for 2 hours, and we help work on kids learning how to actually play quarterback, learn how to read the defense, and then do field work. So the first hour we're going to be doing board work, learning plays, drawing up stuff, learning coverages and defenses. And then for the second hour, we're going to go out and do field work for us, learning fundamentals of the game, learning footwork, throwing with your hips, how to grip the ball, all fundamental work to help our young athletes do better at quarterbacking. We're looking for 6 through 11th grade players. We're looking for middle school and high school quarterbacks who are looking to get some type of training. But this is different. I know we got a lot of quarterback trainers in the city, but this is a little different. We're actually bringing in a college coach and a young, good quarterback coach to help you learn. A lot of people like, well, send him here, send him there. He's a good quarterback coach. I'm not doubting that, but we're talking about you get to learn from an offensive coordinator, head coach, a college head coach who's an offensive coordinator. You get to learn something a little different. I think in doing that, you get to work with a college coach to help develop your fundamentals. That's different. He's a current head coach and coordinator. I think that's different from working for the quarterback coach. And I'm not knocking this. A lot of great quarterback coaches in North Carolina, but we're offering something a little different from a current coach perspective, who's coaching on Saturdays, who had a great season this year. They went 8-2. So we're opening up the WA Quarterback School. Partnering up with Coach Flowers at John C. Smith. We're going to post that this week. We're going to open up registration for that. Like I say, it's a 6 to 8 week program once a week, 2 hours for the classroom first for an hour, and then we're going to take it to the field for the next hour, the second hour, and work on fundamentals of the game for those kids who are trying to learn how to be a good quarterback, because we need that work in middle school. A lot of these quarterbacks, and I say minority quarterbacks, it's open to anyone. But why I say that, because we have a lot of young black boys who play quarterback who's not getting the proper training or the education. Every school does not have a quarterback coach. I need a quarterback coach. B. Wash will be a part of this because he needs to learn. He just want to transition from the running back receiver to the quarterback position. He did a pretty good job this year, but it's things he needs to work on. We're going to focus on that now to August, developing his skill set and working with his skill set. So he become a better middle school quarterback. Will he play high school? I don't know at that position. That's where height and everything comes into it. But as far as kids wanting to get that work and that education and training, we're offering that at WA quarterback school. It's not training. This is a quarterback school that we're going to offer. It's going to be limited spots. We're looking to have like 15 spots available for this. So it's going to be limited spots. It is going to be a price for that. We're working out that now, but it will be a price. And I think the price is worth it. Whatever we charge is going to be worth it if you want to develop your young quarterback and get him some experience from a college coach and a coordinator to get that experience, man. So you'll see that posted this week on the website and on the social medias and all our pages. We're going to start posting it when we get it up, outlining the school and what we're offering and the price and the days we're going to meet and the location, so we can start developing these young quarterbacks and getting them really prepared for the next level. I think we need that. I think our kids need that. I know our kids need that. And it's a good thing. So it's not all about cost. It's about you're an investment. Don't look at the cost. Look at the investment. You have to invest in these kids if you want them to get to the next level. And all the kids that are moving to the next level, someone is investing in them. Whether the parent is paying for it, somebody else is paying for it. Somebody's paying for the training and the education for these kids to get better. It's not free. I'm going to stress that again. It's not free. Free holds no value. So you have to invest in your kid. With the landscape changing, I think they're dropping the rosters in college. I don't know if they're dropping it from 150 to 120 to something like that. They're dropping the sizes of the teams because they have these collectives and NIL things paying the money. So now there's not as many spots on a roster, on a collegiate roster now. They're dropping the numbers. So that's going to affect, again, high school kids. High school kids are suffering on all collegiate levels with all these older kids now staying in college and being able to move around. Because you got a lot of the group of four kids, used to be Power 5, group of four. If they don't work there, they can drop down and be in majors, D1, or they can drop down to FCS, or they can drop down to D2. I mean, you're getting and people complaining, but you're getting an older kid who's been in that weight room for 2 years, who's been playing ball for 2 years. You're just getting an older guy more prepared to play versus a young high school guy. And when I was at the coaches conference they had in Charlotte here with all the coaches, I talked to the University of Miami Sewell, the DB coach, and he advised me that they are still investing in high school kids. They're taking about 10 to 15 high school kids and developing them. But the thing about that, when you develop them, you might be developing them to lead to go somewhere else, but they still believe in development. I talked to a lot of coaches at the conference, and a lot of coaches, some coaches saying they're more so focused on JUCO and transfer kids. And now, I don't know if it has changed, but where it stands now, JUCO kids, even though they're going to college, their clock doesn't start. Normally, you go to JUCO, might be a kid in JUCO, maybe they had the grades or messed up behavior-wise, weren't able to get that chance to go play big-time ball. So he goes to JUCO maybe a year or two, gets his grades up, or go for a semester, show him he can play, got his grades together, show He's a second chance kid as far as straightening out his behavior, whatever issues they had. And then they get re-recruited again. So now you got high school kids going against all these JUCO kids in the same class, because a JUCO kid can play now, as it stands, can play a year or two at a JUCO. His collegiate clock does not start. So he's 2 year in with an associate degree. Now he's going into the next recruiting class. He's going into that recruitment class, and now you got all these JUCO prep kids. It's been this way, but now the clock, prep school, the clock never started. It's you go play prep for a year or two, and then you take yourself on to college. But now you have JUCO. There's a lot of JUCO good programs out there. Now these JUCO players are going to JUCO playing a year or two. Their clock is not starting, and they're coming out in the same class as the high school kids. Who do you think the coach is going to pick up? That JUCO grown man guy or that high schooler? And that's the issue with some of these high school kids. Now, you already going against prep schools and JUCOs kind of anyway, but JUCOs back then, they may have spent 2 years of their clock, so only had 2 years left. Now that JUCO player has 4 years left after JUCO, and he's going in the same recruitment class as your son. So who do you think they're going to pick up? They're going to pick up the JUCO player. He's a grown man, just playing football for 2 years against other grown men, and now he gets another 4 years to play. Now his clock starts. So, and then you got that going against a high school kid. So if you're a high school kid, you have to be almost damn near generational talent to get recruited. You got to be a 4 or 5 star kid. Now, I don't think that's fair, but it's not fair, but that is the business of the game now. And high school kids need to get prepared. You need to get prepared. You need to get your grades up. You need to get physically in shape. Physically, you need to change your body. You need to work out more than ever. So if you're not working out and training, you're behind the 8 ball. Your grades not together, you're behind the 8 ball. There's no such thing as these dumb athletes. You cannot play your way in. That's been going on. You have to be sellable. You have to have the GPAs, the high GPAs, and you have to have that good game footage. You have to show that you really can play, because there are colleges who still are developing kids and taking high school kids. Because if you're doing that, you got these guys coming in who got 2 years left. You can bring in some high school kids. Those guys are going to play 2 years, and you can most likely get that high school guy coming in his second year, redshirt year, and then playing his junior year behind those older guys. You can still stack it like that. But some schools, I'm at a D2, they was in the Midwest. They don't take any high school kids. That's not their formula. They're only taking JUCOs and transfer kids. They're just building. I asked the guy, how are you doing it? He say, the data's out there. We compile all the data, all the kids in JUCO and all the kids in transfer portal. We kind of get our data together. We get all the kids, and then we kind of shrink that data into what we're looking for. And once we have that data shrunk down, then they start going out and offering scholarships. He said he might offer 100 scholarships to kids, and he might only sign 6, 7 kids out of the 100 scholarships he's offering. He said he might offer 100 scholarships. So we've been talking about this. These schools are offering these scholarships, but they're not committable. Then he says, if we do offer you, you need to sign right away. You don't need to be waiting on that next come up, because while you're sitting there waiting for something better, a kid who wants to play is going to sign and commit. You have to ask if the offer is committable. If it's committable, you and your parents need to make your mind up. The parents, you got to get with the program. You cannot hold on to these scholarships like you used to. Unless your kid's a 5-star, that guy, you can do that. But if not, if they're offering you, I don't care if some people look down on D2. D2 is the new thing, D2 and D3. That's that new era. You need to take that scholarship if it's committable, and you need to go ahead and sign and get off the board and know you're going to school to play college ball, because you're competing against grown men out of these JUCOs now. And he's saying they're offering hundreds of scholarships, but they're not, but out of that, they might get 6, 7 guys if he offered. So everybody's throwing out offers. They're not all committable, but if they are committable, you need to sign on the dotted line and get off that board and Be grateful now that you're going to play college football, because that landscape has changed dramatically. Don't hold on to the offer. Don't look at D2 bad. D2 is a good thing. Everybody's not going pro. You have to look at yourself and ask yourself. It's still kids out there who just want to go play some college ball. That's their dream, to play some college ball, get a degree, and move on to something else. People are getting away from that. Everybody's not going pro. And if you know you're not that pro kid, but you want to play college ball, take your offer. Because guess what? You play D2, they'll start hitting your high school coach up like, hey, coach, we saw such and such on this program. We really like them. We're going to, could you reach out? They're reaching out. These big programs, you wonder how these kids, some of these kids are going in the portal and moving on. What I found out is sometimes they are reaching out to the high school coach as the third party, reaching out to the high school coach. Now the high school coach reaches out to the parent and the kid and say, hey, I just got a call from Old Mix, Texas A&M. They like you. They were like, they like you. They want to recruit you and bring you in. That's how some kids, you wondering, how is he getting in the portal and moving? Because he's working with a third party. They're working with these high school coaches, reaching out to them, to reach out to the parents, and to reach out to the parents and reach out to the student athletes. So when he gets in that portal, he has a destination. I wouldn't advise any kid to jump your ass in that portal, or parents to tell your kid to jump in that portal and give up his scholarship because you're not happy he's not playing. He's a damn freshman. Get with the program. All freshmen are not going to play. So get with the program on that. Be smart. If you haven't talked, any number ones hit you up about your son coming to a school, nobody's reaching out to you third party, I would advise for you to stay at your school and hold on, maintain that scholarship and get ready for the next season. Be smart. We talked about this on the lines. Be smart about these contracts. Just don't go to these schools if you're in a portal. They're offering you collective money. If they're offering you collective money, you need to have a representative, an attorney, or somebody know contracts, understand legal contracts, to read that contract and say, hey, we don't like this language. You're saying you want to give him $50,000, but the paperwork saying up to $50,000. Up to $50,000 could be $1 up to $50,000, from $1 up. They might only give you 15 out of that 50 because it didn't state exactly 50. So you need to be smart about that, athletes. Parents, you're not agents. Get a legal representation to go over these contracts, because these are contracts. Some of these contracts have in the fine print non-binding. I do paperwork for a living. Non-binding means it's not a real contract. Up to means that doesn't mean 50,000. That means up to that dollar amount. Also, you have to have in your paperwork when you sign, what does my payment schedule look like? When you disperse my funds, when you disperse my collective funds, what's the dollar amount of the first disbursement of payments? What day is that going to hit my account? How much is the second disbursement worth? When is it going to hit my account? All the way up until it pays out. You need to have and know exactly how much you're getting paid and exactly when you're getting paid. That needs to be in the body of the paperwork. So you need legal representation, these agents to come out. And also these agents, they're good agents out here, but they're not like NFL agents. We talk about this. They make up the 3 to 6% capped. These agencies now, they're helping out with these collective deals, not NIL. NIL is different from collective. Name, image, and likeness, and making commercials and selling product, that's NIL. We're talking about collective. That's a group of alumni, group of people saying, hey, we're going to give university this amount of money. I think they're saying it's $20 million for the bigger school. And they're going to disperse that $20 million a year. They're going to pay out the athletes. How much of that are they going to give your child? That will be in his contract, his collective contract. And in that contract, you need to have the right language. Is it binding? It needs to be binding. We need to have a set dollar amount, not the terms up to. You need to have your payment schedule. How much is going to be paid every month? What day is it going to be paid, and where is the funds going to? You have to pay taxes too. It's a lot going into this new era, so you got to be smart about what's going on. So I just wanted to talk about that today. I'm Coach Washington Sports Talk about this new high school realignment, middle school basketball. Make sure y'all sending me those scores and records at WA_camps. Parents, be smart and get representation. One thing I left off about the representation, we were talking about agent fees. NFL agents gets 3 to 6% capped. Collective agencies that help them with these collective contracts, just know they're wanting 10 to 20% of the collective money. So if LaJohnny is offered $100,000 or $60,000, let's say $100,000 to play, he's that type of player. They're going to give him $100,000 a year to play. Well, the collective is going to take 10%. That's $10,000. So he's really getting paid 90. Or the collective is going to say, hey, we're going to take 20%. That's 20,000. He's going to get 80. Then you need to know, is my money coming directly from the collective, or you going to try to pay out? Because a lot of agencies, what they do is they take the full 100,000, take their cut off, and then they're paying you off. So you need to get that worked out. Who's paying me out? Is it collective or is it the agency? Who is paying me? After you take your percentage, who is paying me? And when am I getting my funds? You need to get that together before you even go to the agency. When you go to the agencies, you need to straighten that out. How much you're taking off the top? I want my checks to go to me and not you. You need to get that worked out, because sometimes they receive the money and they pay you out. So before you sign with your agency, you need to get that straight. How much are they taking off the top? When the check comes, are you getting my check and you paying me? Or is that check coming from the collective? And if you're getting my check paying me, when is my payment dates? When you distribute my funds? What date am I getting? All this needs to be in writing before you sign with the collective. You need to get your agency together first. Make sure you know exactly how much they're taking. Make sure you know that they're not talking about no future earnings. And when you're signing with them, make sure they're not trying to capitalize on no future earnings of your contract. Because some kids don't sign some shitty contracts. Well, now these people are taking money from their NFL contracts. Read the paper, get legal representation, so you will know they're going to take a fee. That's okay. They help negotiate. But after they negotiate, who's paying you? The collective or the agency? If the agency is paying you or the collective, when are you distributing my funds to me? What day, what month, what time of the month, how much it is? Make sure you have your numbers together. Cover yourselves nowadays. This is a business. It's not student athlete anymore. This is a professional game. When they're paying out kids, this is strictly business now. So you have to be business minded. All right. Thank you for listening today. This is Coach Washington with Coach Washington Sports Talk. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share button. I need y'all to share this information, man. Share it. Hit this like, subscribe, and share button. And I'll see you later. Peace.